The Nuggets can't keep getting away with it, except they do. They underperform badly in the first half versus the Mavs, but storm back to get the win. We'll talk about who led to that win, including a player that played badly for most of the day and then great for a little while. Aaron Gordon's back. That's exciting. We'll talk about that. Also, since Aaron's back, should Russ continue to start? We're going to open up that can of worms again here on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Pedro H in our comments says, "What's up, Matt? What's up, Pedro? Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day, being with us Monday through Friday, being an everyday or checking out with us every day. We do appreciate so much that you've chosen to be a part of our community, whether you're joining us on podcast or on youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets, where you can go hit like and subscribe and join the 8,700 folks that are currently on there. We appreciate you guys being part of our community. Thanks so much for, taking your time. We do appreciate it. You have choices. There's a lot of choices of what you can listen to. And you guys, because you're such great Nuggets fans and you care so much about the Nuggets, you want to listen to this show. And we will do our best to give you good content for that. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I write 2 Substacks at Hardwood Paroxysm and the Denver Dig. I've got pieces up on both over the weekend, including a little bit about the Nuggets and possible trade options about Chris Boucher over at Paroxysm. You can go find that out. Just search for the Hardwood Paroxysm Substack. His name's Ryan Blackburn. He is over at Mile High Sports. He's the Nuggets writer at Mile High. I'm just going to start calling you the Nuggets senior writer. You've been there long enough. You deserve the title.
I'm about a senior citizen at this point, so yeah. I understand.
Nuggets senior writer at Mile High Sports and the host of the Pickaxe and Roll podcast. This is no jinx because, today's a great example because Ryan was like, just a pathetic effort. They won. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Lots of folks hanging out with us in the chat. They do every Sunday night here on No Jinx. Appreciate you guys being with us. All right. So
I like a reminder, by the way, in that particular messaging. It's just Ryan learning that the NBA is the NBA, and the NBA continues to do this, where this is exactly what was supposed to happen. I was talking to my brother before this game about, hey, how are they going to do? Are they going to lose this game? Or is because Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving obviously don't play for the Mavericks. And yet you look at the lineups that the Mavericks can throw out there. It's extremely functional. These guys are very talented. These guys are very good. And my brother was like, yeah, they'll probably win by 12. And they win by 11, despite the fact that they had the massive swings of they look horrible or they look like the best team on earth. It averages about out to a 12-point win.
Yeah, in the win, Nikola Jokic, 19 points on 6 of 13 shooting, 18 rebounds, 9 assists. He was a -2.
Call that a C- D+ game for Nikola.
Yeah. Jamal Murray, 17 points on 18 shots, but we'll come back to him in a minute, -5. Russell Westbrook with 21 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, and a -3. Peyton Watson, 10 points, 6 rebounds, and a +30. Aaron Gordon returns with 13 points on 6 of 7 shooting, 6 boards, 2 assists, and a +23.
Love it.
And DeAndre Jordan, 6 points, 3 of 3 from the field, 5 rebounds in 9 minutes, Ryan.
Yep.
5 rebounds in 9 minutes and a +13. The Nuggets win a game in which all of the Nuggets starters, except for Michael Porter Jr., who was 5 of 13 from the field, were in the negative. Thanks to the bench contributions and a great fourth quarter performance with the bench from Jamal Murray. You mentioned you're just like, this is just how the NBA works. And you're right in that. This is what I always kind of battle with, I battle with fans about a lot of stuff, but one of the things that I battle a lot with is if you pay attention every night to all the teams, you're just like, that's weird. Like that game's weird. That logically they should just win by 20. This team doesn't have Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving. Why wouldn't they just smash? That's weird. Then it happens again, and you're like, that's odd. The Hawks lost to the Wizards. That's weird. like just and over and over again. And then finally you start to, I reached a point where I was just like, don't assume things. Like, don't assume the logical outcome of these things. Don't assume it in trade talks. Don't assume it in player behavior. Don't assume it in game flow. Don't assume it in matchups. It's sports. Sports are messy. And the Nuggets did not have it for a matinee afternoon game versus Dallas until they did. And the comeback was really pretty great because I thought they were pretty well screwed going into that fourth quarter. But they managed to get the game back within range. The bench did the work. Jamal Murray was absolutely terrific in the fourth quarter, Ryan. Like, Jamal Murray was terrific in the fourth quarter. He made a really great contestant transition and then some huge buckets. And it's like, well, it was great. 3 of 8 points on 8 shots. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But like, he was plus 16. Jamal in the bench unit is what sparked the run. And then the starters carried it over. So a weird game, but a good result for Denver. I don't know. This one, I don't even know if it counts as a bad win, right?
No, I don't think so either, because anytime that you play a like contender against you, despite the fact that they may be missing their stars, anytime you could win that game on the road, I called this a must win, and they won. And it's the process of which, like,
I'm sorry, wait. You called this a must win?
I think if you're gonna try, okay. When Denver split at home, if you are looking to get the tiebreaker with the Mavericks, this is the correct time to take advantage of that when you've got 2 games against the Mavericks and you luck into the time where Luka Doncic is out and Kyrie Irving is out. That was my logic behind it. Denver's getting back their reinforcements. I understand how you, the process king, are going to roll your eyes at that one. But this is one of those where, and I made sure to mention this earlier, where if you are serious, good Lord, how many times am I going to get a text message during a freaking podcast? It's from my mother.
Hey, Mom!
Basically, like,
Is she also telling you that this is not a must-win game? Because
she's telling me I need to be over on Thursday in the middle of the third day and 4 nights on my one off day from going to the Nuggets arena, basically. I love you, Mom. But no, like, okay, so the process here for Denver is that obviously you get your guys back, you start rolling, and anytime, for whatever reason, it feels like anytime you throw in a wrinkle into what Denver's plan is or how they've gotten into their groove, they seem to self-combust. And I don't understand why. I don't understand, because Aaron Gordon was great today. Like, they were really good. Like, the bench was really good today. I don't understand how the starters, given that they've been playing the same unit for much of the same time, could look so horrible together. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's I think it's context, right? It's an early start on the road. That's a tough spot. And if you want to be like, they're without Luka and Kyrie, they should, like, there are no excuses. You're absolutely right. If they had lost, oh man, would we be killing them? Killing them for this game. I do think that it's a weird spot, and that I've seen it so much. It's like, it does happen. It shouldn't, but it does happen, and it happens to pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it happens to pretty much like, there's so few teams that just never have letdown games. I don't think I've ever seen one. You know, the Celtics kind of were that team, and then in March they lost twice to the Hawks in a week. And
at this point, the only team is OKC.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I think I think it's strange, but not inconceivable. And I do think the Mavericks, like, we'll talk about them later. Like, everyone's got a lot of respect for this Mavericks team. They've built a really good infrastructure. They defend really well. They have smart guards. They have really great rollers. They waste very few possessions. Jaden Hardy, I think, has really tightened his game. Spencer Dinwiddie is a really good guard just to kind of lead you. Like, Dallas was kind of like, oh boy, these ISOs late for Dinwiddie. And I'm kind of like, there's nothing else you can really go to here, guys. Like, you can't give the ball to Klay Thompson and be like, go get us a bucket. You know, you can't do that at this point in his career. So a whole lot of stuff. But in general, you know, look, I think if nothing else, I think there's some positives, which is like, hey, what if Aaron and the bench? What if Aaron and DJ could actually anchor some things because Aaron's shooting some well from three? Hey, what if, if you're getting these better minutes from DeAndre and these units are only losing by 4 to 5 on a nightly basis, and sometimes winning their minutes, it does kind of change the dynamic, and that increases your margin for error, because that means that the starters can have two really bad, awful, horrific stretches and then be like, oh, we're in this game, let's go close it. And they closed it, which is
they did
their identity.
I mean, and look, you got the win. You'd go through, I think, a topsy-turvy process, but ultimately, like I said, it was a result that you really value. 33-12 fourth quarter, 41-29 second quarter to get them back into it. They won those quarters by a combined, what is that, 33? Like, holy cow, man. It's really hard to win games by that many points, or to win quarters by that many points. So it is a very good process, part of it for Denver, to get them back into the flow and not really give up on a game. That if anything, I think they should get some credit for, to not kind of let go of the rope and know that they could get back into it and continue to chip away.
If nothing else, I'm glad that we don't have to show the sign for Jamal, because I thought we were going to have to play the sign the entire show.
He was minus 29 midway through the third quarter, Matt, and finished minus 5.
And we'll talk about it here in a minute, about kind of some of that dynamic and just the ever-evolving story of saga of Jamal Murray this season. We'll get to AG's return. Plus, how should the Nuggets handle this thing with Russell Westbrook and how good he's been with the starters? We'll do that next here on Locked On Nuggets. I want to take a moment to introduce you to a brand new mobile game that I'm really excited about. It's the Ultimate College Basketball HC. If you've ever dreamed of being a college basketball head coach, this is your chance to step into those shoes. In Ultimate College Basketball HC, you control every detail of your program, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps, handling NIL deals, and managing scholarships. It's all in your hands. When it comes to game time, you get to drop offensive plays and set your strategy. The way you play won't just affect the current season, it'll shape the future of your school's basketball program. It's a game that lets you feel the full weight of what it means to be a head coach and lead your team to glory. Here's a special offer for Locked On NBA listeners. Use promo code LOCKEDONCBB, all caps, inside the game store to get a free boost for your program. It's the perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. To download Ultimate College Basketball HC, just visit ultimate-cbb.com or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Basketball HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Love going to live events, sports, music, theater, comedy, going to hockey games. Wife couldn't believe the seats she got last week for the Avs game. She was so thrilled. She used the promo code for us from Locked On NBA to get those seats. So thank you to Game Time for helping us out to get those great deals for my wife and my kiddo, so he could watch his mom start screaming curse words that he literally asked me, what does this thing mean the next day? And I was like, oh God, that's how great the kind of great times you can have with Game Time. You can find all sorts of awesome tickets on Game Time. The super deals are incredible. You can get the seat view that you want, all sorts of stuff. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Game time.
We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us here on a Monday. Not World's Finest. No Jinx with you on a Monday. I did World's Finest last week. You can catch that show with Adam Mares. What time is it, Ryan? Nice. So, all right. One thing I also, with your why is this team struggling? What do you want to bet they're sick?
That's a good point, Matt. I heard you, or was it you or somebody else that I saw kind of bring it up during the middle of the game? And Joker looked horrible on Friday. I'm kind of surprised. I'm sitting front row in that press conference thinking, He looks pretty bad. I hope he's okay.
Oh, really? See, that's really nice. Like you are an empathetic and like kind person. Because I looked at him and was like, "Oh God, I'm front row, right in front of him. I'm gonna die."
No, absolutely what I meant. That is absolutely what I was thinking. I'm front row for this, and I really hope that he's okay because I mean, for everybody's sake, not just mine, but it was wild to see how red his nose was in that post game presser. So much so that I was like, "Hey, we're gonna let you go, Nicole." I promise.
Yeah, Ryan tried to get him out of the room early, and instead people kept asking questions, and I was like, "Will you shut up? Let the man go, so I don't get sick. If I get COVID again, I'm going in the hospital." He does not have COVID, by the way. That is just a general any sort of respiratory illness, and I freak out now. But yeah, like that was kind of my thought when they sent him home from the game last week, the Clippers game. I was like,
oh,
or the Celtics game. I was like, wait, but he's been in the locker room, like he's been in an enclosed area with his teammates all this time, and so I'm just like, yeah, it's probably just going around the team, like it's probably just going around now. That that's not like they might be fine, they might be totally okay. It's just one of those things.
Away locker room, a little bit tighter, a little bit closer quarters, flying on the team plane. What do you bet somebody shows up on the injury report with an illness? I would guess that the odds are about 50-50. Okay, you want to talk about Murray or should we talk about Gordon?
Let's talk about Murray real quick. As much as I don't like these comments, Mona Lisa's daddy says Jamal has a character contusion. He's battling through it. Damn, man. That's cold.
Oh, man.
So look, I do think
he's also fighting through. Like he tried to play today. I give him credit for trying to play when he's clearly in pain.
Jamal said before, like, it's whatever I played, right? And that's always kind of the deal is if you play, you're judged on how you play.
Sure.
And
he played bad.
He played bad. He played so badly for 2 quarters. But that fourth quarter really, that burst he gave them when it was bucket, chase down, bucket was huge. Like it was just a huge sequence in that game. And it really kind of turned everything. And you felt the Mavericks be like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And then the Nuggets like really kind of wrote it. And like, yeah, like Malone, I will say, like, yeah, no, Murray's not physically okay, guys. Like, this is not just like, okay, because I'll say this for you. You have a better case if you're like, he's injured, he's never going to be healthy again, his knees are washed, and that's why we got to move on. Because otherwise, there's not really an explanation for this. Players do not go from the player of caliber that Jamal Murray were to this version without it being a physical thing.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. So you can't just be like, well, he's bad now. He's just bad. Okay, that's not how the NBA works. Like,
also, like he clearly popped up. He popped up on the injury report for it. He had to leave at halftime of the previous game for it. So clearly he's dealing with something. Like, and it's hard for us to tell sitting at home how difficult he is. Like how difficult it is for him to play through it, and whether it's debilitating or not.
Vasily Chess says it's better to not play. He pulled down all his teammates. That's not what happened today, sir. He was bad. They were collectively terrible. Nobody helped carry Jamal today.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Michael Porter shot 1 of 9, guys.
Yeah, like the whole team played terrible. It wasn't
Jamal. And Jamal set him up.
And again, Jamal sparked that fourth. Well, he did, but yeah. Jamal did. Who was it? It was Strother. He looked Strother off on one of them, and I was like, "What? What was that?" It's weird. It's weird. Yeah. Aaron's back. That's a good thing. Gordon says he's fine coming off the bench. Whatever helps the team win. He's not worried about it. Aaron Gordon had just signed a huge extension with the Denver Nuggets. He's going to start. Like that's going to happen. Aaron Gordon's not coming off the bench. That's a waste of his talent to bring him off the bench, quite honestly. Aaron continues. He made a huge 3-pointer face up today against Maxi Kleber, 1 of 2. Aaron's good shooting from 3 continues, and that's a very interesting trend for me. It can fall. The bottom can fall out at any point, but that to me is really interesting. What were the things that you like seeing from Aaron Gordon back today?
So much of it was isolations or reads off of the mid-range and getting into those spots and being comfortable taking jumpers on a consistent basis. And it was the 3-pointer. There was one where he spun and got downhill and got up for a wide open dunk, but because he created it himself. He just looks very good. And then there was a couple of rotations that he had rotating onto the low man when the center was kind of like Denver's using their coverage with Jokic at the level. A center catches the ball, whether it's Gafford or Lively. Gordon rotates onto him instead of Porter. And those guys just fear Gordon a little bit more than they fear Porter in terms of attacking him. And it was very impressive to see how Denver's backline defense just magically improved. And I really love to see that. You and I were talking on Friday about and we actually made a bet. So we'll give people info on that bet at a future time. But I think their defense is going to be a much better with Gordon going forward. And I thought they had a really good defensive game today, obviously without Luka and Kyrie there. So I thought that they had a good defensive game. The defensive numbers reflect it.
Sure. That's true. Against Klay Thompson, Spencer Dinwiddie. Yeah.
Okay, you can't do that and be like, yeah, but the Mavericks are good. And this happens all the time.
But it does. That's the thing, is it does. But also, if the Mavericks were going to win this game, they were going to win it with hustle and defense, right?
Yes.
Like they were going to outwork Denver. It wasn't going to be like they weren't going to and in the first half, the Mavericks were actually shooting the lights out. It just was unsustainable because they don't have enough creators.
Yeah.
Like their roster also, more than most, if there is a weakness with Dallas, it's this. They have a bunch of guys who can do the same thing. So Gafford can do what Lively does, and Lively can do what Gafford does, and Najee can do what Klay does, and Grimes can do what Najee does. They have a bunch of repeatable skill sets, but they don't have optionality in terms of multiple ball handlers and multiple creation.
Yeah.
All of their offense is still supposed to be Luka and Kyrie. And so if you take that away, yeah.
By the way, you want to know what the 3-point shooting splits were for them?
What?
10 of 15 in the first half and 2 of 19 in the second half.
Oof.
It was not sustainable, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually think that the second half is less sustainable than the first half.
What do you mean?
You got Klay Thompson. You got good shooters on that team. Like they're built to have good shooters around their key guys.
Oh yeah. You know? No, I think that around what they shot, 35% is probably an underwhelming number.
Yeah.
For what they should shoot on a normal basis.
But also, they're not going to be able to create as good looks without Luka and Kyrie.
So this is about what you would expect on a day like this.
It's fine. I don't think the defense was bad today. Defense was fine.
Yeah.
Defense was fine. Offense was terrible.
No, I mean, again, it was good to see Gordon. I think he helped them in a lot of different areas. Obviously, DJ and Gordon playing together was great. We have to shout out Peyton Watson once again. Plus 30 in this game is insane. And he had a flying block in the right corner. The hustle plays that he continues to make are very impressive and very important. The Nuggets have, in most of their stuff, they have positional defenders as opposed to area and out of area defenders, in my opinion. And so Peyton Watson represents an out of area defender where he can cover extensive ground. And it's so valuable for Denver.
Closed with P-Watt over Brown, by the way.
And it was obviously the right call.
Which leads to some interesting questions, I think. We'll talk about them up next here on Locked On Nuggets. Running a small business means you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone, and before you know it, you're juggling customer calls day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where OpenPhone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. OpenPhone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. And if you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Welcome back to Locked On Nuggets. We have a newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com and sign up for the Locked On Nuggets newsletter. We've got so much great stuff going on there. We do the 10-piece after the Nuggets games. We break down stuff. We give you the best highlights from the podcast. Sometimes you get writing from Katie Heindel and Mike Shearer. And if you play fantasy basketball, you get stuff from Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball. If you like fantasy basketball, you have to listen to Locked On Fantasy Basketball. It's like everyone raves. Josh is a super genius. It's incredible.
Number one fantasy basketball show, I believe.
Ever of all time.
Yeah. Pretty good.
The GOAT. All right. So Aaron's going to start. I think we agree. I just don't even think there's an argument to say that, with the defense and how shaky it's been, don't think you can argue that he shouldn't.
They might have some flexibility, by the way, over the course of these next couple games, because just ramping him up more,
sure.
You can delay this decision a little bit. And I think that Malone should delay it as long as possible.
Really?
Oh, no. I mean, it's one of those things that I really think he can help their bench temporarily while this is happening, and just making sure that he's more and more comfortable playing minutes on a consistent basis. Like, he only played 18 today. I don't want to see him immediately jump into 33 or 35. I would much rather see him play 18, then 20, then 24, then 26.
CB has the most points in transition after Giannis, Big Honey says. He's a huge part of our faster pace.
It's true.
It's true.
In some ways.
I want to ask you this question. Let's say the politics and contracts don't matter, and it's just a meritocracy, which is what fans imagine it to be. What's the best starting five for Denver?
Probably Russell Westbrook, Christian Brown, Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
I was looking at the numbers prior to this game, by the way. That line, or not that lineup, but the Jokic, Brown, Westbrook without Murray is a plus 20 net rating in 600 plus possessions. It's a lot of possessions, and that is a lot of points they are ahead. And it's one of the big reasons for that is because of the defense. It's because of their ability to play on both ends of the floor. Now, I do think that their offense would struggle as teams would adjust to Russ and Christian Brown. But with Jokic and Porter, you're still getting enough spacing and enough scoring that the most important thing that those guys can do is just play fast and play active. And that's what a lot of people want to see Christian Brown. And therefore, Murray's not going to not start.
Right.
He's going to start. Everybody has to let go of that. It's just not freaking happening. And it's just
I want to say this too. I think he should start. And you want to know why I think he should start? Because the NBA is made of careers, and you have to have respect for guys that have done it. Mm-hmm. Jamal Murray's been a starter in this league for this team for 6 years. They have won a title. They have made a Western Conference Finals on top of that. They have won, I don't know how many playoff series. They have won 50 plus games every year. Like, at some point, Murray has to have built up, and I think that's been one of his frustrations. How is this bad? And it's been bad. Like, I've talked about it. Why does nothing matters except this 3 months of play and how bad he was in the first, 8 games of the playoffs? Because he really was kind of fine over the last 3 in that Wolves series.
Yeah.
Like, why? And I don't like being painted into a corner where I have to stick up for Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
I don't love that personally.
Not your favorite thing.
My favorite thing. But at the same time, I can't fathom why it's like, well, he's been bad, so he's out. And it's just like we have 6 years of a career. And you have a long-standing history of Russell Westbrook teams also struggling, and I'm hoping that changes with Russ. I am kind of at the point where I am in favor, even though I don't think it'll happen, and I've said this because I think the organization is that much investment in Christian Brown. But I do think the best option is Jamal, Russ, Porter, AG, Jokic. That's where I'm at.
I think that with the circumstances that are being handed to Denver, I think that is the best thing. I think that Russ has earned the opportunity to stay there. He has played tremendous basketball. And it's, I think, very important to reward a guy like that. This is not a demotion for Christian Braun. This is another guy really elevating himself in Russell Westbrook. And I think putting too much pressure on the coaching staff and saying, hey, I have been too good to not be here. And he's a veteran. He's somebody who I think the team now really trusts. He's established himself. It's taken time, and he has put in the time every single game. Matt, he's played every single game. Christian's played every single game too. Actually, he's missed one. Michael Porter's played every single game. I think those are really the only guys that have done it. And that is, I think, a very important factor in this. His consistency has been tremendous. And when Murray has been inconsistent, to say the least, you want somebody that can consistently put pressure on the opposing team in ways that Murray sometimes will do more of than Westbrook and sometimes will do less.
Starters are tricky because you can't mess with it too much. You really got it. You can't do the game by game thing. You know, some teams have tried it where it's like, we're going to start this guy or we're going to start this guy. It's really
Malone is not wired that way either. He likes to stick with a group. He just does.
Yeah. So yeah, like, and look, I just think that we're at the apex of Russ's value over the last 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
Like, this is the best Russell Westbrook has been in terms of positive impact for a team in 5 years.
It's been awesome.
And it's great. It's awesome to see. It's really cool. And I want it to continue. Like, again, it would be an incredible story if you won a title here. But do you want to go with it? You move Westbrook into the starting unit. Westbrook's play declines, whether it's shooting or teams figure out how to guard those units, whatever.
Ooh, yeah.
And then you have to go back to Christian, and Christian's confidence has been compromised by having his starting unit pulled.
Well, and at that point, you just go with Peyton Watson, right?
And I think Christian's honestly like pretty even keeled. Like, I think if anybody can handle it, it's Christian, because Christian's just like, yep, no problem, I'll do the job. Like, he's got a really good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Because one thing I do want, and like, there's been comments about this too. I've talked a lot about the decision not to retain KCP because it continues to frustrate me in terms of what it took away from Denver. I want to be very clear on this. Christian's been awesome offensively. And defensively, I don't blame him as much for some of the defensive stuff, because I think they're asking him to do too much. They're asking Christian Braun to be the defender he's going to be in 2 years. They're asking Peyton Watson to be the player he's going to be in 3 years. Like, the part of the two timelines thing is you basically were just like, we'll just be that now. And it's like, no, like, playing behind guys and working your way up and becoming a starter and then becoming an all-star or high caliber player. There's like a natural progression here leading to when you're 28 and then you enjoy your prime. And Christian and Peyton are both in situations where it's like, you got to be like your 26-year-old self now. And that's really tough.
Can Denver win a championship with Russell Westbrook in the starting unit?
I am not prepared to answer that, sir. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I just don't know. It's hard.
Like, the minute I feel like we commit to yes is when the bottom's going to fall out. And nobody wants to be on the hook for it.
Yeah.
But I will say that Russ can't do any more than he's done. He can't have given any more than he has. He can't have been better for the locker room, the on-court chemistry, pumping up the crowd, playing hard every single night, having the right attitude, adjusting to coming off the bench, starting when needed. Like, he's done everything that Russell Westbrook can.
If the answer is no, it will not be Russell Westbrook's fault to me. He was brought in to be a minimum contract.
Right.
The onus is on the guys that make the most money. It always will be. It always is. It'll be on Jokic first and foremost. It's his responsibility to get everybody pointed in the same direction. If there's anybody that could manage this and make sure everybody's pointed in the same direction, he's done a pretty darn good job of it over his career. So that is, I think, a positive thing. I think, honestly, that the Westbrook-Murray dynamic it's just so fascinating to me that I don't know how it's going to affect those guys if they just decide, hey, Russell Westbrook is the starting point guard, Jamal Murray is the starting two guard. Like, how's that going to shift things? I don't know.
We'll talk more about it because that's what we do on this program. Tomorrow you can check out show with Swipa, and then we will also do a post-game show after the Mavericks game as they play 2 games there. And then we will have no Jinx, And then we'll have No Jinx as the post-game show on Tuesday. And then we'll do another post-game show after the Rockets game. I won't be in Denver for that one, but we'll do post-game show after that one as well. And we're off and running. Hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining us here on Locked On Nuggets.